story begins with a man covered in blood, walking aimlessly with a vacant expression. His name is Lee Tae-kyung. As he trudges forward, an elderly man suddenly approaches him and offers him a glass of whiskey. The elderly man is Woo-young, an ordinary construction contractor who wields enough power to make even government ministers in Korea bow before him. It was revealed that Lee Tae-kyung is a brilliant lawyer who exclusively defends high-ranking officials and wealthy individuals guilty of heinous crimes. One of his most infamous cases involves a woman named Young-mi, a victim of harassment. Despite the overwhelming evidence against the perpetrator, Tae-kyung used his wit and ruthlessness to secure an unconditional acquittal for the accused. No matter how severe the crime, he always emerges victorious. However, there is one person who has managed to defeat him, Yun-na, a skilled and beautiful prosecutor who happens to be his ex-girlfriend. She is the only person Tae-kyung fears. Unlike other lawyers, Tae-kyung does not work for a law firm. He only takes on cases assigned by Woo-young. Despite his appearance as an ordinary construction contractor, Woo-young commands immense influence to the point where ministers bow in his presence. One day, Woo-young tasks Tae-kyung with securing the release of a notorious gangster named Chul-ki, who is currently imprisoned. At first glance, the assignment seems straightforward, simply ensuring the release of a convict. However, during the trial, Tae-kyung suffers a crushing defeat when Yun-na successfully dismantles all of his arguments. To make matters worse, she brings up a murder case from 7 years ago, implicating Chul-ki as a key suspect. Since the case remains unresolved, the judge postpones the trial, allowing both the prosecution and defense time to gather evidence related to Chul-ki. The story then flashes back 7 years to 2012, when a young actress was brutally murdered, allegedly at the hands of Chul-ki. The case was shrouded in mystery, as all CCTV footage and evidence vanished without a trace. However, just before the murder, a delivery courier was seen entering the crime scene, making him an unwitting witness to the horrific act. Tragically, the young courier died in a staged accident the very next day. That courier was none other than Tae-kyung's younger brother, the only family he had left. Until now, Tae-kyung had been unaware that his brother's death was directly linked to the events of that fateful night. It is only when Yun-na presents him with photographic evidence that he realizes the painful truth. This revelation leaves Tae-kyung in turmoil, as he is now faced with the moral dilemma of defending a man who may have played a role in his brother's death. Determined to put an end to this, Tae-kyung confronts Woo-young and pleads with him to abandon the plan to release Chul-ki. However, unknown reason, Woo-young remains adamant about freeing the gangster. This unwavering stance deeply disappoints Tae-kyung, who begins questioning his loyalty to his powerful benefactor. It was revealed that their alliance began the day after Tae-kyung's brother was killed. At the time, Tae-kyung was driven by vengeance, seeking any means to avenge his brother's death. It was then that Woo-young appeared before him, offering a safe and calculated way to exact his revenge. In return, Tae-kyung, whose talent was undeniable, was required to become a lawyer who worked solely under Woo-young's command. Returning to the present, the relationship between Woo-young and Chul-ki remains shrouded in mystery. After an exchange of information between them, a detective working alongside Yun-na on the 7-year-old case is suddenly found dead in what appears to be an accident. At the same time, Tae-kyung also hears of the detective's death, further strengthening his belief that the murder from 7 years ago is connected to his brother's death. He becomes convinced that someone is deliberately covering up everything related to that fateful case. Determined to uncover the truth, Tae-kyung, with the help of his assistant, begins gathering surveillance footage from around the crime scene. Most of the CCTV footage has been destroyed, but they managed to recover one intact recording. The footage reveals that just hours before the murder, Tae-kyung's younger brother, Tae-ju, was seen delivering a package to Young-mi. The same woman Tae-kyung had humiliated in the courtroom during the trial. The video then shows Youngmi handing the package to Chul Ki, whose face is clearly captured on camera. Armed with this new evidence, Taekyung immediately confronts Woo Young, pleading with him to abandon his plan to free Chul Ki. However, Woo Young remains unwavering in his decision, raising Taekyung's suspicion that his powerful mentor might have been involved in his brother's death. Further oddity arises in court when Yun Na, who had been leading the prosecution, is suddenly replaced by another prosecutor, one who has clearly been bribed. That very day, Chul Ki is officially released due to a lack of evidence linking him to the murder from 7 years ago. Taekyung ultimately agrees to secure Chul Ki's release because Chul Ki promises to provide crucial evidence regarding Taeju's death. However, to obtain this evidence, Taekyung must go to Chul Ki's house alone. Upon regaining his freedom, Chul Ki immediately meets with Woo Young. Knowing that Woo Young was also involved in Taeju's death, Woo Young plans to send Chul Ki and his family to Australia, ensuring that the only person who could expose his crimes is removed from the picture. Later that night, Taekyung is stunned when he sees Chul Ki leaving Woo Young's residence. This sight deepens his suspicions that Woo Young, whom he had once regarded as an older brother, played a role in his brother's murder. Realizing that Woo Young has paid Chul Ki to remain silent, Taekyung makes a bold move. He offers Chul Ki $1 million in exchange for the incriminating evidence he possesses. Seizing the opportunity, Chul Ki then increases his asking price when negotiating with Woo Young. Shortly after, Taekyung deliberately informs Woo Young about his offer to Chul Ki, intending to gauge just how far Woo Young is willing to go to keep his dark secrets buried. Unexpectedly, upon hearing the news, Woo Young immediately transfers the money Chul Ki demanded. Later, on the day of the transaction, both Yun Na's team and Taekyung's team race against each other to track down Chul Ki, whose whereabouts have finally been detected. Cornered and desperate, Chul Ki promises to hand over Taeju's phone. He even claims to know the mastermind behind Taeju's murder. However, just as Taekyung is about to obtain the crucial evidence he has been searching for, he arrives at the meeting location only to find Chul Ki already lifeless. Woo Young's ability to cover up his crimes is truly commendable. He deliberately destroys a replica of Taeju's phone, testing the extent of Taekyung's suspicions. Once convinced that Taekyung no longer suspects him, Woo Young shifts focus, persuading Taekyung to concentrate on their next plan, to seize control of Korea's largest corporations. Their primary target is Jungjin Group, a highly controversial company that, despite its dubious reputation, always emerges victorious in court. Specializing in electronics, Jungjin Group's products include mobile phones. The company is led by a young and handsome So named Suho. However, behind his charming facade, Suho is a ruthless psychopath who finds amusement in torturing people to death. To bring down Suho, Taekyung and Woo Young begin by representing workers who have suffered due to Jungjin Group's negligence. The company had forced its employees to work with hazardous materials, resulting in several workers permanently losing their sight. Meanwhile, Yun Na continues her investigation into the 7-year-old case. The deeper she digs, the more unsettling the pattern becomes. Every victim was a young actress working under an agency called Jung Entertainment. Her suspicions grow stronger when she uncovers financial records showing that Jung Entertainment received substantial funding from Bumjung Construction, a seemingly ordinary construction company owned by Woo Young, the same man who relentlessly fought to free Chul Ki, despite him still being a prime suspect in an unsolved murder case. In other words, it is highly possible that the actresses at Jung Entertainment were being exploited by Woo Young. Determined to uncover the truth, Yun Na confronts the CEO of Jung Entertainment. Under pressure, the CEO finally slips up, admitting that Jung Entertainment does, in fact, receive financial backing from Bumjung Construction. Seizing the opportunity, Yun Na then turns her attention to Woo Young, directly questioning why a construction company like Bumjung Construction would invest in a small entertainment agency. Woo Young is caught off guard, shocked that Yun-Na has managed to uncover so much of what he has desperately tried to keep hidden. Seeing the suspicious expression on Taekyung's face, Yun-Na invited him to meet at a remote location. Using the lingering emotions between them to her advantage, Yun-Na tried to manipulate Taekyung into once again doubting Woo-young, hoping to make him realize that he was merely being used. To Yun-Na, Taekyung was the only true obstacle in her way. However, as if he had anticipated their secret meeting, Woo-young quickly reassured Taekyung that he had no involvement in any of the cases Yun-Na was investigating. He also warned that Yun-Na posed a significant threat to them and that they needed to act swiftly. That same night, while returning home, Yun-Na was nearly killed in a staged accident. News of the incident reached Taekyung, making him even more determined to keep Yun-Na safe. He warned her to stop interfering with Woo-young before she became the next victim. Deeply concerned for his ex-girlfriend's safety, Taekyung confronted Woo-young, demanding that he refrain from harming Yun-Na. However, Woo-young, who had orchestrated the accident, instead lashed out at his assistant for the sloppy execution, as it had reignited Taekyung's suspicions. Not only that, Woo-young's assistant had also made another critical mistake, allowing the CEO of Jung Entertainment to act recklessly, which now posed a serious threat to their plans. The repercussions were immediate. Yun-Na had obtained damning evidence against Jung Entertainment CEO, forcing him to confess to Bumjung Construction's involvement in the unsolved murders from 7 years ago. Meanwhile, despite growing doubts, Taekyung continued carrying out Woo-young's orders, successfully winning a case against Jungjin Group for their unethical practices. His victory caught the attention of Soo-ho, the CEO of Jungjin Group, who personally invited Taekyung to his home. At Soo-ho's lavish residence, Taekyung was stunned to see Woo-young acting subservient to Soo-ho like a loyal pet. A flashback revealed that Soo-ho's psychopathic tendencies had emerged in childhood, when he was just 10 years old. He had killed his own chauffeur merely to test how much force was needed to break a human skull with a brick. Meanwhile, Young Mi, desperate to become a celebrity, had signed a contract with Jung Entertainment. However, she quickly learned that to achieve stardom, she had to first cater to the desires of powerful men, a requirement imposed on all aspiring artists by Jung Entertainment. On her way home, Young Mi deliberately arranged to meet Taekyung, knowing that he had discovered Taeju had sent her a package before his death. When Taekyung asked about the contents of the package, Young Mi hesitated before revealing that it contained a flash drive. She then ominously warned him that anyone who had seen what was on the flash drive had died, including his own brother. Back in the present, Woo-young once again approached Taekyung, urging him to stop going against Jungjin Group. He claimed that Soo-ho had made them an extremely lucrative offer. However, Taekyung, growing more suspicious of the connection between Soo-ho and Woo-young, firmly rejected the proposal. He suspected that Soo-ho was not merely offering money. He likely possessed evidence of Woo-young's crimes. Furious at Taekyung's outright defiance, Woo-young realized that his former ally was now becoming his greatest adversary. Not stopping there, Woo-young was also taken aback by an unexpected revelation. His own son, Dae-jin, had approached Taekyung to learn the art of law. But Dae-jin had a hidden agenda. He was determined to bring down Jungjin Group alongside Taekyung. Meanwhile, Yun-na was gathering additional information from Young Mi, who had received a lucrative offer from Jung Entertainment. However, her efforts proved fruitless as Young Mi refused to speak. Instead, she had been promised the lead role in an upcoming television production by Jung Entertainment. But before she could step into the spotlight, she had to meet with the company's investor to finalize the contract. To her surprise, the investor was none other than Woo-young, who, for reasons unknown, was willing to invest a significant sum just to secure Young Mi as the lead actress. Taekyung soon learned of this meeting, deepening his suspicion that Woo-young was trying to silence Young Mi, just as he had done with Chul-ki. After all, both Chul-ki and Young Mi were captured on CCTV footage on the day Taeju sent the fateful package. Determined to prevent Young Mi from suffering the same fate, Taekyung confronted her. However, Young Mi refused to believe him, still holding resentment over how he had humiliated her during a past court trial. That night, Young Mi stumbled upon a flash drive hidden inside a toy she had received from a mysterious woman 7 years ago. As she viewed its contents, she finally understood why Tae-ju had been murdered. In response, she immediately reached out to Tae-kyung, offering to hand over the flash drive, believing he was the only one capable of uncovering the truth, no matter his flaws. However, before Young Mi could act, she was suddenly abducted. Her phone was later discarded from a bridge covered in CCTV cameras, which gave Tae-kyung a crucial lead in tracking her whereabouts. At the same time, a mysterious figure retrieved Young Mi's personal diary. Elsewhere, Yeon-na's trusted detective, Ma, received a report from the police stating that, just an hour before Young Mi's phone went missing, she had sent a message to Tae-kyung. Concerned, Yeon-na immediately sought him out, only to be met with his cold and distant demeanor. The truth, however, was far more sinister. Young Mi had been kidnapped by Woo Young, who had hired a professional assassin. As her disappearance loomed over them, the courtroom battle between Tae-kyung and Jungjin Group escalated. In the first trial, Tae-kyung successfully exposed damning evidence against Jungjin Group, pushing Soo-ho to the brink of fury. Seething with rage, Soo-ho lashed out at Woo Young, whom he now saw as a failure for being unable to control Tae-kyung. In a final ultimatum, he warned Woo Young that if he failed again, he would reveal the devastating truth to Tae-kyung, that Woo Young was the mastermind behind Tae-ju's murder. At the same time, Tae-kyung and Yeon-na came to a crucial decision. They would join forces to find Young Mi. The puzzle pieces were finally coming together. Young Mi, Jung Entertainment, and Woo Young were all connected to Tae-ju's murder 7 years ago. Unexpectedly, Woo Young suddenly arrived, quickly realizing the alliance that had formed between Tae-kyung and Yeon-na. Without hesitation, he informed Soo-ho that Yeon-na was relentlessly digging deeper into the cases, uncovering more truths with each step. Meanwhile, Tae-kyung's assistant and detective Ma successfully tracked down the vehicle used in Young Mi's abduction. From the CCTV footage, they spotted the kidnapper discarding a cigarette, but a crucial piece of evidence likely to contain fingerprints. Acting swiftly, they retrieved the cigarette butt, and forensic analysis confirmed that the fingerprints belonged to a man named Hyun-woo, the very person responsible for Tae-ju's murder. Further investigation by Detective Ma uncovered another oddity in the dashboard footage from Jung Entertainment's president's car. On a certain day, Young Mi and her friend were seen being taken to an old, abandoned building by the president of Jung Entertainment. Within that same footage, Woo Young was also spotted entering a restaurant called Namwon. It wasn't just Woo Young who visited the place. 2 government ministers and the chief prosecutor were also recorded arriving there alongside him. With this new evidence, Yeon-na became even more convinced that Jung Entertainment and Woo Young were directly linked to Young Mi's disappearance. On the other hand, Young Mi finally regained consciousness, only to find herself locked in a room under the watchful eye of Hyun-woo. Seizing the opportunity, Tae-kyung confronted Woo Young, revealing that Hyun-woo, whom everyone believed to be dead, was in fact alive and now suspected of kidnapping Young Mi. This was all part of Tae-kyung's plan to lure Woo Young into meeting Hyun-woo face-to-face, in order to confirm his suspicions about their connection. Tae-kyung's doubts were finally validated when he witnessed the secret meeting between Woo Young and Hyun-woo. Determined to locate Young Mi, he trailed Hyun-woo after their meeting. However, Tae-kyung underestimated his opponent. Hyun-woo was far more cunning than Woo Young, and in the end their pursuit escalated into a brutal fight. During the struggle, Tae-kyung managed to snatch the phone that Woo Young had given to Hyun-woo. Overcome with anger and betrayal, Tae-kyung could no longer ignore the truth. Woo Young, the man he had once regarded as an older brother, was deeply entangled with the contract killer who had murdered his own brother, Tae-ju. The pieces were finally coming together, and a chilling realization set in. Woo Young might be the true mastermind behind Tae-ju's death. Gravely injured with a serious wound in his abdomen, Tae-kyung devised a new plan. He deliberately informed Woo-young about his condition, urging him to visit. But this wasn't just about seeking medical attention. Tae-kyung was ready to confront Woo-young with the burning questions that had haunted him for so long. No matter how much Tae-kyung wanted to confront Woo-young about his involvement in his younger brother's death, he couldn't bring himself to accept the possibility. Woo-young was like an older brother to him, and the thought of him being responsible for such a tragedy was unbearable. Instead, Tae-kyung handed over photographs of his injuries to Yeon-na. However, the examination results revealed that his wounds were different from those found on the victims. This evidence proved that Hyun-woo was not the culprit behind the deaths of the actresses 7 years ago. That night, Yeon-na visited Namwon Restaurant, a place suspected of being used by Woo-young to meet with powerful ministers. There, she accidentally spotted the Minister of Finance stepping out of a private room. The next day, news of a hitman involved in the murder case, along with the sudden disappearance of Young-mi, was deliberately spread by Tae-kyung to lure Hyun-woo out of hiding. Later, Tae-kyung confronted Woo-young once again, attempting to ask about his involvement in his brother's death. However, just like before, he couldn't bring himself to voice the questions that haunted him. Instead, he silently returned Hyun-woo's phone, which had previously been handed to him by Woo-young. Not long after, Tae-kyung's plan to spread information about Hyun-woo proved effective. The news put Woo-young under pressure, as Hyun-woo bombarded him with questions. Frustrated by Woo-young's evasive behavior and lack of accountability, even as he was now a fugitive, Hyun-woo decided to contact Tae-kyung with information he knew would interest him. However, before Tae-kyung could get the details, the police arrived and arrested Hyun-woo. Despite this, Woo-young successfully secured Hyun-woo's release by leveraging the chief prosecutor, who was powerless against him. Determined to uncover the truth about the chief prosecutor's vulnerability to Woo-young, Tae-kyung and Yeon-na went to Namwon Restaurant, where powerful figures often gathered. There, they received an anonymous message containing excerpts from Young-mi's missing journal. The entries revealed that Namwon Restaurant was a secret meeting place where government officials covered up their wrongdoings. Woo-young also received the same message, prompting him to shut down the restaurant. However, Namwon Restaurant was owned by Soo-ho, who refused to close his illicit business over a potentially forged document. Not long after, Yeon-na and Tae-kyung continued their investigation. In an old building, they unexpectedly spotted the assistant of Jung Entertainment loitering nearby. Upon interrogation, the assistant admitted to having taken Young-mi's journal, hoping to locate her without Jung Entertainment's president finding out. Unfortunately for Yeon-na and Tae-kyung, the journal had already been stolen by Hae-jin, Young-mi's friend at Jung Entertainment. Hae-jin handed the journal over to Woo-young and demanded a high price to keep her silence. After reading its contents, Woo-young immediately instructed his assistant, Choi, to shut down Namwon Restaurant without fearing Soo-ho anymore. However, when Choi arrived at the restaurant, he was met with an unexpected sight. Tae-kyung had already discovered Woo-young's secret hideout, where he conducted his illicit dealings. There, Tae-kyung and Yeon-na stumbled upon a lavishly furnished room, which appeared to serve as a private entertainment space for high-ranking officials and government ministers in Korea. As the night grew deeper, Woo-young was taken aback to find Tae-kyung already inside Namwon Restaurant. There, all the lingering questions about Tae-ju, which had burdened him for so long, were finally answered. Meanwhile, Young-mi was being held captive in Soo-ho's house, where she was destined to become his test subject, satisfying his twisted, psychopathic desires. The following day, Tae-kyung visited Tae-ju's grave, only to be startled by the arrival of Woo-young and Dae-jin, who had also come to pay their respects. It was then revealed that Tae-ju had been Dae-jin's only true friend, always standing up for him whenever he was bullied by classmates. Before long, Tae-kyung and Yeon-na set their sights on the Attorney General, marking him as their first target to bring down. Armed with crucial information, Tae-kyung uncovered the Attorney General's mistress, which granted him access to the official's private residence. With the help of Detective Ma, Tae-kyung managed to open a safe that contained irrefutable evidence of the Attorney General's crimes, meticulously organized records of scandals involving women, bribery, and corruption. With this trove of incriminating proof, Tae-kyung held everything he needed to topple the Attorney General. Wasting no time, he met with Woo-young, informing him that this was merely the first step in his mission to bring him down. Sensing that the situation was spiraling out of control, Woo-young and Soo-ho sought an audience with the Minister of Justice, who is none other than Yeon-na's father. His true intentions behind this meeting, however, remained unclear. Elsewhere, in Seoul, Tae-kyung and Yeon-na anxiously awaited information from Jung Entertainment's assistant, who possessed several photos from Young-mi's personal diary. After a long night of waiting, the assistant finally revealed a crucial piece of information: the whereabouts of a flash drive that had led to countless deaths. Wasting no time, Tae-kyung rushed to Young-mi's house to retrieve it, only to find Choi had beaten him to it. The flash drive contained damning footage exposing several Korean ministers who had hired entertainers from Jung Entertainment to serve as their personal escorts. At one point, Yeon-na was approached by Hae-jin, a friend of Young-mi, who admitted to being involved in prostitution scandal at Namwon restaurant. When Yeon-na inquired about the identities of those involved, she was utterly devastated to learn that her own father had participated in the scandal. The revelation shattered her, as she had always seen him as her protector, only to discover he was entangled in such a disgraceful crime. However, Hae-jin's confession was orchestrated by Woo-young as a direct threat to Yeon-na's father, warning him to halt the investigation that Yeon-na was pursuing. Torn between guilt and fear, her father did not deny the allegations. He was tormented by his past misdeeds, forced to live like a puppet, burdened by the weight of his sins. Upon learning that Woo-young was behind Yeon-na's suffering, Tae-kyung confronted him directly. He was deeply disappointed in Woo-young's cowardice and vowed to make him experience the same pain Yeon-na had endured. Later, Tae-kyung plans to turn Dae-jin against his father, making him feel the same devastation of betrayal, just as Yeon-na had felt when she learned the truth about her own father. Tae-kyung sought to ensure that Dae-jin would see his father as nothing more than a heartless murderer who had killed his only true friend. 7 years prior, Yeon-na's senior, Nam-shik, had been the prosecutor assigned to the very first death case. At the time, Yeon-na's father was the chief prosecutor, and he ordered Nam-shik to close the case, as he was personally involved in the illicit prostitution ring run by Namwon restaurant. Because of this, he was powerless against Woo-young. Furthermore, Nam-shik had also been the prosecutor defending Tae-kyung in court, which ultimately led to a miscarriage of justice. Despite knowing the truth, she had allowed Hyun-woo to walk free, betraying the very principles she had sworn to uphold. Returning to the present, despite the overwhelming sadness and disappointment Yeon-na felt, her resolve to seek justice remained unshaken. She confronted Woo-young directly, declaring that no matter what he did, she would not back down, even if it meant tarnishing her father's reputation. Determined to prove her words, Yeon-na urged her father to step down as a minister and resign himself to a life of hiding behind his sins, forever a puppet under Woo-young's control. One night, Tae-kyung gathered 2 ministers along with Woo-young and presented them with undeniable proof of their involvement in prostitution. Their shock only deepened when Yeon-na arrived at the scene, ready to arrest the 2 ministers, proving to Woo-young that her words were not empty threats. Following the arrest, Woo-young and Soo-ho intensified their pressure on Yeon-na's father, demanding immediate action against her. Soo-ho even went as far as to threaten Yeon-na's life if her father failed to stop her. That cold night, Yeon-na found herself face to face with Soo-ho, the psychopath. What transpired between them remained a mystery, but soon after, Yeon-na became unreachable. Concerned for her safety, Tae-kyung rushed to her house, only to find it empty. On his way back, he was met with another shocking event, a prosecutor doing the unthinkable. That prosecutor was none other than Yeon-na's father, who had done the unthinkable to ensure that Yun Na could continue uncovering the truth without fear of his involvement. As a result, her father's death was a crushing blow to Yun Na. Meanwhile, Suho, who still had sinister plans for her, continued his manipulative act, fueling Taekyung's growing rage. Before doing the unthinkable, Yun Na's father had meticulously documented every case, revealing that Woo Young had played the biggest role in orchestrating all the crimes. In his will, her father warned Yun Na that capturing Woo Young would be nearly impossible, as he had never left behind any evidence that could incriminate him. At the end of the letter, he also urged Yun Na to be wary of Suho, the psychopath. Meanwhile, Youngmi took a stand against Suho, managing to hold him hostage. She forced him to call the police and report that he had been keeping her captive in his home. As the local authorities responded to Youngmi's call, Yun Na coincidentally arrived at the scene, allowing her to uncover Youngmi's distressing situation firsthand. At the same time, Taekyung successfully stole Woo Young's phone, the very device he used to communicate with Hyunwoo. Soon after, Taekyung received a call from Yun Na, informing him that she was at Suho's house. Realizing the imminent danger she was in, Taekyung rushed to her aid, knowing that Suho would not hesitate to act on his violent impulses. Inside the house, as Yun Na cautiously explored her surroundings, she was horrified to discover a room filled with padlocks, a grim chamber where Suho had tortured Youngmi. Finally, after much struggle, Taekyung arrived at the house and searched for Yun Na, only to find her locked in Suho's basement. After successfully freeing her, they were suddenly confronted by a panicked Woo Young, who had realized his phone had been stolen. In that intense moment, Taekyung used his intelligence to provoke them, manipulating the situation to force them into relocating Youngmi from that house. Everything that unfolded was, in fact, part of Yun Na's carefully laid plan. Her intention was to provide Youngmi with a phone. In the end, Woo Young fell into Taekyung's trap. Later, Taekyung ordered Choi to move Youngmi and instructed him to eliminate Hyunwoo, as he was the only one who could expose Woo Young's involvement in orchestrating the operations at Namwon Restaurant. Meanwhile, Taekyung and his team patiently waited, and at last, Youngmi was relocated. In response, they quickly tracked her using the GPS signal from the phone Yun Na had given her. However, midway through they lost her trail. At that moment, Taekyung realized something. He had once walked that very road with Woo Young. It suddenly became clear to him that Youngmi had likely been taken to Woo Young's villa, which was not far from their location. Their timely arrival at the villa thwarted Choi's attempt to kill Hyunwoo. This development posed a significant threat to Woo Young, as it ensured that Hyunwoo would now turn against him and reveal his misdeeds. The successful rescue of Youngmi provided crucial evidence for their case, and they planned to release the incriminating footage from the infamous flash drive along with Youngmi's testimony. However, Woo Young struck back, instructing the Attorney General to dismiss Yun Na from her position as a prosecutor. Despite this setback, Nam Shik, who had previously devised a plan with Yun Na's late father, handed over a meticulously compiled file of evidence. She urged Yun Na to proceed with the case, disregarding the Attorney General's interference. Youngmi's freedom sent shockwaves through Woo Young and Suho, making them increasingly desperate. Determined to prevent their crimes from being exposed, Suho devised a plan to eliminate both Taekyung and Yun Na. Before executing his plan, however, Suho was approached by Hyunwoo, who sought his help in exacting revenge on Woo Young. Suho agreed to assist, but only on one condition. Hyunwoo had to kill Youngmi before she could testify. That very night, Hyunwoo disguised himself as a doctor and went to carry out the murder. However, Taekyung and his team had anticipated this move. They had predicted that Hyunwoo would attempt to silence Youngmi, and they were ready for him. Whatever transpired between Taekyung and Hyunwoo during their conversation remains unknown, but shortly after, Hyunwoo requested a meeting with Woo Young and Suho. During the meeting, Hyunwoo skillfully lured them into detailing the operations of Namwon Restaurant. Woo Young, unaware of the trap, openly admitted that he supplied high-ranking officials with actresses from Jung Entertainment to satisfy their desires. Once these women were deemed useless, they were sent to Soo-ho, who then subjected them to his psychopathic tendencies and ultimately killed them. Contrary to past suspicions, it was not Hyun-woo who had been committing these crimes, but Soo-ho himself. Unknown to Woo-young and Soo-ho, their entire conversation had been recorded by Hyun-woo, as planned with Tae-kyung. Shortly after, Hyun-woo was taken into custody by Yun-na to ensure his safety. Knowing that Woo-young would soon try to kill him, she expedited his detainment so that he could testify in court and help take down Woo-young once and for all. However, their efforts were in vain. On the following day, Hyun-woo was found dead, having allegedly done the unthinkable. Later, Hyun-woo's death was blamed on Tae-kyung, with accusations that he had driven Hyun-woo into depression and ultimately caused him to do the unthinkable due to blackmail. As a result, Tae-kyung was arrested for extortion, allegedly leading to Hyun-woo's tragic demise. Once again, this was all part of Woo-young's scheme, ensuring that his plans would not crumble due to Hyun-woo's betrayal. At the police station, Woo-young confronted Tae-kyung, offering him a chance to rejoin his side. Before leaving, Woo-young issued a chilling warning. If Tae-kyung continued to expose his wrongdoings, then the sins they had committed together at Woo-young's villa would also come to light. On the other hand, Dae-jin obtained Hyun-woo's recorded testimony, which contained undeniable evidence against Woo-young and Soo-ho. Confronting his father, Dae-jin demanded the truth. However, instead of remorse, Woo-young arrogantly declared that money and power were the true forms of justice. Around the same time, the public was shaken by a news article exposing the high-ranking officials involved in a prostitution ring at the Namwon restaurant. The revelation sent Woo-young into a spiral of frustration, realizing that Tae-kyung had once again thwarted his plans. That evening, Dae-jin destroyed the only evidence linking Woo-young to the crimes. With Hyun-woo dead and the recording gone, Woo-young was now untouchable. No evidence remained to incriminate him. Unfortunately, Woo-young's cunning did not stop there. He shifted all blame onto Soo-ho, providing authorities with financial records that falsely implicated Soo-ho as the true owner of the Namwon restaurant. Outraged that Woo-young could walk free, Tae-kyung attempted to publicize Hyun-woo's recording, only to discover that it had already been destroyed by Dae-jin. When confronted, Dae-jin admitted to his actions, fueling Tae-kyung's rage. Later that night, Choi arrived unannounced at Tae-kyung's residence, acting without orders from Woo-young. His mission was clear: to assassinate Tae-kyung. Fortunately, his plan failed. Seizing the opportunity, Tae-kyung manipulated Choi's foolishness, ensuring that he would suffer severe punishment from Woo-young. Feeling betrayed and unappreciated, Choi turned against Woo-young and confessed to the media, revealing that Woo-young had ordered the abduction of Young-mi and her transport to Soo-ho's residence. With this revelation, a court trial to determine the mastermind behind Young-mi's kidnapping commenced. Choi, now aligned with Soo-ho, was soon arrested after CCTV footage surfaced, proving his involvement in Hyun-woo's murder. During the trial, Soo-ho ruthlessly shattered Young-mi's confidence, rendering her speechless in court. However, with Tae-kyung's encouragement, Young-mi regained her strength and testified that Soo-ho was the one who had abducted her. Her testimony was further supported by the CCTV footage Hyun-woo had managed to capture, leaving Soo-ho in an even more precarious position. Soo-ho was completely ruined, especially when Woo-young, whom he once treated as his own pawn, turned against him. In a desperate attempt to silence Yun-na once and for all, Soo-ho abducted her. However, Tae-kyung had anticipated this move and set a trap, leaving Soo-ho with no escape. With Soo-ho finally captured, Jungjin Group was left leaderless. A shocking revelation soon surfaced. When Woo-young had instructed Tae-kyung to go against Jungjin Group, his real goal was to drive down its stock value. At its lowest point, Woo-young secretly acquired shares in the company under Dae-jin's name, making Dae-jin the new owner of Jungjin Group. Upon knowing this, Taekyung was in awe of Woo Young's cunning strategy, allowing chaos to unfold at the Namwon restaurant just to bring down Soo-ho. Yet, Taekyung refused to let Woo Young walk away unscathed while everyone else faced the consequences. Determined, he decided to confess everything they had done together at Woo Young's villa. Before taking this drastic step, Taekyung first sought out Dae-jin, knowing that Dae-jin already saw him as an older brother. Together, they devised a plan. After leaving Woo Young's house, Taekyung met with Yeon-na, asking her to take on the case regarding the murder he and Woo Young had committed at the villa. It was revealed that Taekyung had exacted his revenge on those he believed were responsible for Taeju's death. However, when he hesitated to kill, Woo Young stepped in, using the opportunity to groom Taekyung as his subordinate. Meanwhile, Dae-jin confronted his father, demanding the truth about Taeju's murder. Unexpectedly, Dae-jin secretly recorded their conversation as evidence for trial. Woo Young soon discovered Dae-jin's actions, but instead of retaliating, he was moved by his son's determination to live an honest life. In a moment of unexpected sincerity, Woo Young confessed to everything, from orchestrating Taeju's murder to masterminding the Namwon restaurant operations. He even admitted to eliminating those he had originally ordered to kill Taeju, ensuring that no one else could expose the truth. He did all of this so Taekyung could be free and one day become the best older brother to Dae-jin. During the trial, Dae-jin presented the recording as evidence, standing firm despite the heartbreaking reality of condemning his own father. He refused to let more lives be destroyed by his father's greed and ambition. Before being taken into custody, Woo Young gave Dae-jin a wristwatch, one he had bought long ago when they were still struggling in poverty. Not only that, Woo Young also invited Taekyung to his villa for one last meeting. There, he poured them both a glass of whiskey, just as they had done many times before. However, Taekyung, too disappointed in Woo Young, refused the drink and chose to leave instead. Yet as he walked away, he couldn't shake the deep affection he still held for Woo Young, whom he had once considered an older brother. At the last moment, he decided to return and bid a proper farewell. But upon his arrival, Taekyung was met with a shocking sight. Woo Young was lifeless. And with that, the story came to an end. Moral lesson from the story: if you're going to spy on powerful people, make sure you bring snacks, because getting caught is hungry work. Also, never trust a wristwatch from someone who's about to go to jail. It's probably broken, just like their promises.